Get it.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us for another episode of Double Tech. It's your boy Dave here with Q.
What's going on?
What's up? So we're here to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. Last night, they played the Indiana Pacers in a game that is going to be for Frank Vogel's job. He's coaching on a game-to-game basis. And so they were down by almost double digits and then pull Russell Westbrook with 4 minutes left to go, end up losing anyway. How do you think that's going to affect the locker room moving forward? And what does that say about where Frank Vogel is right now?
Locker room wise, I don't think it'll affect too much, right? It's 82 game season. For Frank Vogel, I get it. You know, you kind of feel like your options are limited. I just feel like 4 minutes might have been too soon. If you're like in a situation where you need a three, you know, the game's tight, 20 seconds left, you put a shooter in, that makes more sense to me. But at this point, you know, with R. Kelly fighting for my life out here, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think at this point he's trying everything, but that came down to a coaching thing again, where, you know, you got Westbrook out there, his energy, the last 4 minutes, that's just too long.
Much too long. And in a vacuum, I don't mind pulling for Malik Monk, although I think they would have been better off keeping all three of those players in there, LeBron, Malik Monk, and Westbrook. They were getting dominated by Sabonis, and that's the huge problem when you allow Sabonis to get a triple-double. And again, we were speaking on it yesterday. There's no big man threat to stop them. Dwight's unable to spread out to the line to defend Jokic, especially, or defend a player like Jokic, like Sabonis, that kind of stuff that they're going to be facing. It gets really tough. And then with the return of Malcolm Brogdon now, they were really out of sorts. So it's tough. And this is an Indiana team that is prepared to blow it up. They're not making the playoffs. And so for you to go down in that type of must-win situation, and for him to say, I just felt like Malik Monk gave us a better chance to win than Russell Westbrook, that's not believing in your stars, and that's not going to keep your job, in my opinion.
No, it's not. And it's a waste of money, right? And then it's also one of those things where you go at the end of the game. I mean, that's 4 minutes. Westbrook is an electrifying player. You're not losing because Westbrook is losing this game for you in that moment. They were losing because they couldn't defend. They couldn't play defense.
Yeah, and that's one of the things.
And so that's where I feel like taking Westbrook out with 4 minutes is almost a reactionary call to the fans. Does that make sense? Like, he didn't make it because it was the best decision for the game. He did it because people keep telling him Westbrook can't shoot. But with 4 minutes left, Westbrook ain't giving up draws at the paint. He ain't the one letting Dick Sabonis put all these buckets up. You know what I'm saying? If he was scoring, the Pacers were going back and doing it too.
Yeah, it would have been a different story. From the insider scouting report, they were saying one of the things is that the coaches wanted the Lakers to defend Karis LeVert by taking away his right hand. And Russell Westbrook did not do that on a play that allowed an easy blow-by layup for LeVert. And at that point, Vogel had seen enough and pulled him. So it was more, is one of those things is he damaging a game? Is he not sticking within the game plan? Or was it a power trip and a reaction to the fans like you're saying as well? I think that becomes interesting.
And I do have to say, if it comes down to something like that, then I have to agree with it. If it comes down to he was instructed to do something, you didn't do it. We're already having problems on defense. This is going to be the consequence. You don't do your job, I'm going to let somebody else do it for you.
Right. And so that kind of, you know, he's kind of standing up for himself at that point, which makes me feel maybe Frank Vogel is willing to fight for it. You know,
my job's on the line. My job's on the line, not your job.
I can't lose it because of Westbrook.
If Westbrook play bad, he's going to trade him. He's going to play somewhere. He's going to get paid. Frank Vogel out there, like, if I tell you to guard, take away his right, then you take away his right. I don't give a damn about none of that. And I mean, if you bench him,
I can't blame him there, honestly. Yeah. I really can't. If his defensive liability is because you're blatantly not listening to coaching, what is Westbrook going out there trying to prove? And I feel like he may have earned and bit off more than he could chew whenever he yammed on Rudy Gobert, and everybody's like, "Yeah, Westbrook is back." On one side of the ball,
if that becomes an issue too, you got to start thinking of like, is this kid coachable? And because the way he plays, how do you, with a coach like Vogel, not just on defense, but even offensively, like, how do you coach the style, right? He would be, the Lakers, I'm starting to realize it's not Westbrook either. It's like 50% Westbrook, 50% Lakers. You got a guy, he is an attacker. There's a lot of different options there, but they can't fucking shoot. So
No, they can't.
So you do take Westbrook out with 4 minutes and you put somebody else to pass the ball to other people who can't fucking shoot. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, but now if you take them, to like, let's say Philly, for instance, right? Philly's got shooters, spot up guys all around. That's what made Ben Simmons so successful. And a guy like Westbrook could have about 15 assists out there in Philly.
I would love to see Westbrook in Philly.
And I think that's something that's not accounted for too. We count as his missed shots, right? But we don't count the opportunities that he would probably be getting 12, 13, 14 assists, and guys can't make their jump shots. Wide open ones. I mean, you got Melo over 5 from 3. Trevor Ariza from 3 from 3. Westbrook shot better from 3 last night than everybody on that team. That's saying something.
And it's not what he needs to be doing. Really, when he came in, people were kind of struggling with, like, where is his midi? You've been in the league 15 years. Where's your mid-range jumper?
And that used to be
Where's
his
your
shot.
floater?
They used to be the mid-range to stop and put it
and
up.
It disappeared. So what happened to that? Because even last year we were discussing the Wizards and how they turned it on at the end of the season. That was a key part of it, was him finding his rhythm from the mid-range, and that hasn't happened yet. And I think it's because the spacing is terrible because of the non-shooters. So not only is the spacing not fitting what Westbrook wants to do, but you can't accentuate his talents either because the rest of the team doesn't.
It's a team full of ISO ballers at this point. They're just ISO guys.
Man, it's too easy. And Vogel has to get more creative because, as we've seen, like we mentioned yesterday, that he's a defensive coach that doesn't have the defensive pieces in order to run his scheme. But what has he done offensively? This reminds me of a Scott Brooks situation where you really wanted him to come in and just, hey, do your thing, man.
Yeah.
Yes, and that is not the offense anymore. When you have 37-year-old LeBron, 33-year-old Westbrook, the plan can't be go get your buckets, guys. We can drop 30 any night because that's not the case.
It doesn't look like plays are being ran. And, that part kind of is what it is. It does look like they go out there and they just hoop, right? But as far as Westbrook's concerned, at the 4-minute mark, I just don't see. Like I said, I mean, I guess if you run into the situation where he didn't play the play like you said it, you pull him. I get it. You prove a point. Let the stars know this is my team. My job's on the line. But, I mean, 4 minutes is that's a lot of basketball. That's a lot of basketball.
And it wasn't like he made a statement, keep him out for 30 seconds or a few plays, and they say, all right, are you ready to go back in? Are you ready?
Especially when nobody else on the court is really shooting any better.
At all.
At this point.
There was some interesting comments made after the game. First, I want to address LeBron James when they asked him about what the situation was with Westbrook. He, he was pretty close to the chest with it and didn't answer. His main thing was, I got a date with my wife. We're going to the movies. I got to go.
Yeah.
The avoidance there, I think, was a sign of leadership because you don't want to create any further in between Westbrook when things are so up in the air. And we don't know if either one of them is going to be back after.
And it may not even be a beef, man. It very well just may be a one-off situation. Like, Westbrook didn't do what he wanted. I got to make a call. I made the call. We still lost. Move on in the next one, and in next game, when we're in a situation where we need defense, you're not going to let that man blow by you again, are you? Play ball.
Right. If you minutes, you're going to show up. And he wasn't there for comment. He left immediately. Westbrook was out of there. So he didn't want to deal with the repercussions or was probably pissed off.
And it's probably for the best. Sometimes because they like to ask him foolish questions too. They like to put him in situations where he could say something that's going to have folks grasping for their pearls and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Or have him speak for somebody else too. Not only is it Westbrook's personality is a little abrasive, but also like, what do you want me to say?
Yeah.
At some point, like ask the coach, and at that point, you don't want to deal with that. And it was interesting to me though that Carmelo Anthony brought up some comments of saying that Westbrook is learning how to adjust to this new role, taking a little bit of a back seat like he had to do, and the difficulties that Melo first experienced when he had to accept the fact that he's not the number one guy or number one option on the team any longer. Is that a sign that the locker room doesn't view Westbrook as an alpha anymore, or they see his game?
I don't think that locker room does. You got LeBron James on your team. And I don't think that should be a problem, right? I mean, he could still be a leader at the point guard position and not be the alpha. If you play on a team with LeBron James, we all know who the alpha's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's necessarily an emotional or a mental role. It's just, how do you make this role on the court? You know, like he said, like, how do you get the most out of somebody who's used to running up a triple-double and do it in a smaller frame? How do you put that together? But like I said, a lot of those statistics people don't pay attention to is assists have to do with making shots, right? His points have to do with him not taking as many threes, but the whole team can't shoot. So he has to shoot something to keep it honest. Normally he's going to try to kill you at the paint, you know, stop and pop middies, something like that. Like a lot of these different pieces, rebounding. You now have LeBron James at center. Your centers can barely rebound. So a lot of these pieces, you know, we're not paying attention to the Lakers and what's going on as a whole. Is it Westbrook making them worse, like everybody's trying to admit or put out there? Is the team just having trouble finding a way like the coach has no plan for this man? And if you don't, you may just have to trade him and get something you can work around, but you're not going to get better when you trade him. I just want to put that out there.
You're not going to become better. If that's the case, then Frank Vogel has to be the one to go. Yeah. Because I'd rather trade for someone that can get the most out of a Westbrook and LeBron fit.
Yes.
And a new coach, then I would attempt to regain the value of trading Westbrook, because the value of trading Westbrook is going to be another ensemble group of players. And at that point, are you going to get the same return that you just gave up in KCP, Harrell, and Kuzma? No, you're probably not getting that at this point. So you are just going
and also nobody's going to fuel the beast, right? People going to be happy the Lakers are down. Yeah, nobody about to fuel the beast. Add more.
Yeah. So we're all going to shortchange you as much as we can, if possible. So, but I have to agree. You made a great point that it's more so about, you know, he's kind of symptomatic of the larger issues that are happening with the Lakers in terms of their inability to rebound in the injuries, the lack of shooting, the lack of intense defense nightly. And then we spoke yesterday, the lack of transition, which was another problem. This is the Pacers. You should be running them up and down. And so, you know, that's difficult to manage for both Westbrook and Vogel. But if it's my choice, I think Vogel has to be the one to go rather than Russell Westbrook.
Yes. Well, all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Let us know what you think. Do you think 4 minutes was too soon? Do you think it's a big deal? Do you think this is going to linger throughout the season with him benching Westbrook? You think this is going to be a problem? Let us know. This is Double Tech. All right, Dave.